I'd definitely love to ask you more about magic because it's a word that you mention a lot. What is magic?
Okay, so the most common definition of magic that we use in the West is one taken from a magician called Aleister Crowley, who's perhaps our most famous magician in the Western tradition. And he defined magic as the science and art of causing change in consciousness in relation to the will. So it's focused on creating change with the will. Now, this was a Victorian definition. This is a definition which has changed. So this idea of consciousness changing has continued. And when he talks about the will, he's talking about it in a very technical, specific way. So when Crowley talks about the will, he's talking about one coming into alignment with one's guardian angel, which we could consider as a stellar daimon. So when you're born and your horoscope is cast and set, there is a particular spirit that's set over you, and your job as a magician is to come into alignment with the teachings of that and to become the person that you're meant to be. So you're meant to fulfill yourself in this fashion.
Is this the equivalent of a deity?
It's not quite the equivalent of a deity.
Okay.
Like it's smaller, like an angel.
Understood.
It's best to think about it like an angel.
A higher being
A higher being.
that is meant for you, and your job is to get in sync with that.
Yes.
And this is the case for every human being.
Yes.
And you can see this through your astrological chart.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Please go on.
His definition of the science of causing change of consciousness according to the will, this has been challenged in the last probably 50 years, in that we've moved to a more animistic understanding in the West. So it's easy to hear his definition and think that he's talking in a purely psychological manner. Whereas what's happened in the last 50 years in Western magic is that we've shifted from a psychological model more to a spirit model and an understanding that the world is peopled with spirits. And so the work that we are engaged with is more of a spirit work, and that we're aware that spirits are the actors, the movers who fulfill what it is that the magician desires.
Have you seen the film Aladdin? He has a genie in it.
Sure.
Which kind of is parallel with what you're saying.
Right.
A higher being that can be helpful. When I use the word helpful, what does that make you feel?
The idea of a spirit helper is something that's been common in the Western tradition since, at least ancient Greece. So the idea of a spirit helper is particularly that. What you'll often find with a Western magician is that they have a series of spirits with whom they work and whom they task to accomplish the magic that they want to accomplish.
Wow. Okay. I have a lot of Muslim friends of mine who I've had these conversations with. Islam also has an element of particular prayers. They also have a parallel practice where they will have their own jinns.
Yeah.
Now, jinns can also be evil, but there are some jinns that are helpful as well.
Yeah.
Similar to what you're saying?
Absolutely the same.
Same thing.
Same thing. It's a very good parallel.